potentially be a good place to start.
I mean,
Just like what we're most excited for.
yeah. I mean, kind of like what we were talking about yesterday with how, like Microsoft buying up Bethesda, probably 5 to 10 parent or smaller companies within Bethesda that Microsoft has the rights to now.
Yeah, they got to absorb all of
Well,
it.
here,
It's just as impressive
let me
to me
pull
that
it up.
let's just there we go. Yeah, we'll look at it and we'll see what comes up. Accidentally pull up a page no one's supposed to see. Whoops, that's my OnlyFans. Which you can go support Collin at Goat Nightmare Gaming on his OnlyFans.
Yeah, so
like a picture of you, just like. All right, let's see. Its acquisition is expected to
Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Doom are kind of the biggest ones.
Dude, also like that's actually really interesting too, since it's going to expand on the Xbox Game Pass because there's already a lot of Bethesda titles in the Xbox Game Pass, and so I'm wondering if there's like that's making me really consider the exclusiveness of it. If they're going to like kind of like how they run Halo, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Look at.
I see that. One of the before I clicked on this link, there's a link that said that Microsoft is basically going to allow Bethesda to follow out their contracts with PS5 because they're having like some PS5 exclusives on launch.
Okay.
But basically, they're not going to take those away from them, so that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I'm grabbing my laptop right now so people don't think I'm some uninformed imbecile. You know, I don't want to sit here and just talk out of my butt. I can do that. That's fun.
I'm sure we'll get to that at some point.
Just pull the whole Ace Ventura. Yeah, pull the whole Ace Ventura trick. Like towards the end of the podcast, I'm just playing with my butt cheeks and talking to you with them. Should be a good time. All right. My computer is loading. So, since we've kind of covered that briefly, I'm curious, what are you going to be an Xbox Series X or a PlayStation 5 guy?
I'm curious.
Are you going to integrate into PC?
Well, it's funny that you say. It's funny you say that. That's been actually a huge thing I've been pondering lately. Is because, with my streaming and stuff that I used to do months back, and how I basically had to use Mixer, which is built into Xbox, as my platform to stream off of. Since they took that away, I haven't been able to stream. So basically for me, I guess moving forward is being that that's a couple months away, is finding out if the new Xbox is going to have some kind of streaming platform built into it so that I am able to continue to stream. Because if it doesn't, then I might switch to PC and just build myself a PC. That way I can continue my streaming. I don't know if PS5 is like, oh yeah, we're gonna come out with a streaming platform. I don't think I'd switch to PS5 just because of the time and effort I've spent in an Xbox account. I feel like completely starting over at this point would be difficult, but I don't know.
Oh, definitely. And like that's the thing. Like I've thought about building my own PC for years now. I had a roommate who built a PC, and he would not stop talking about it in World of Warcraft, and I don't know. It's an idea. It's entertaining. It's a concept I would like to play around with because it's so interchangeable, and you can have a PC a lot longer than you can have a console. You know what I mean? Like,
100%.
They last. Like obviously, Xbox One forever, but you can change up the pieces, and it sounds like I'm not 100% sure on this. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure you're able to change out some of the parts on the Xbox Series X. Because that's how advanced they've gotten. Like I'm sure you could deal with your Xbox One right now if you're that technical. But I think it's getting to the point where these consoles are pretty much computers now. Like,
yeah, well,
where's the line going to be drawn between a console and a computer? Yeah, exactly. To compete and to be the next gen to give. Because getting back on track, yeah, that whole like, I really do foresee that. Everything is just going to become a computer eventually. It's already a computer. It's essentially a computer at this point. It's just geared towards gaming, which there are gaming PCs geared towards gaming, but you can do everything else on them.
It almost is like, because the pricing on the Xbox, how much is the Xbox Series X? It's
I want to say there's two
it?
different versions. There's the Series X and then there's the Series S. I think the S is 300 and the X is 5.
Oh, did you see that thing about there possibly being like a middle Xbox between them? I think it was just a rumor because like someone had like a screen grab and it was the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S, and there's like one that was slightly bigger than the S, but it was smaller than the X. And they're like, oh yeah, they're gonna release a middle ground one where it's gonna be middle price. I was like, why would they release three? Yeah,
why would they release?
That's like a little.
The fact that they're doing two, like, hats off to them for that. Honestly.
Oh, I didn't tell you about this. So this morning, I went to go look and see about pre-orders, and there was like several pages already just detailing like this is where you're gonna go to pre-order, and then also there's like a link. It's like, oh, they're already all sold out. Best Buy sold out. GameStop sold out. There's some places that have them on location sold out. Xbox store, don't even think about it, sold out. But
yeah,
they just flew off the shelf. Not even literally, figuratively, because it's a pre-order. But yeah, no, they're already all bought out, and it's like, holy crap! When is the pre-order going to be reestablished? I'm wondering. I wonder if they have already released like, oh, this is when pre-orders will be happening again.
Yeah, I want to say in the first 20. I could be wrong with the number. I want to say in the first 24 hours, Microsoft already has $2.5 billion in pre-orders.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. I would not doubt it. I cannot imagine how it feels to be Bill Gates with all that money. That's amazing. Like, I wish I was that. Like, I'm aspiring to be that innovative. I'm always trying to think of good ideas. I'm always trying to think of creative ideas. Like, because I just feel like it just takes that one big idea to skyrocket you to this innovative position. Like, I don't know about you. I like watching TED Talks.
Oh yeah,
kind of like, I love TED Talks. I love hearing people talk. And in my business class that I'm in, there was this one TED Talk. For the love of Lord of me, I can't remember the dude's name. I'll have to look it up. I'll bring it up in a later podcast, and I'll get more into detail with it. For now, we'll squash that because I don't feel like going through everything, finding it. But I'll give one throwaway from it. One of the biggest talking points he brings up, which I loved, was like the concept of that these people who get wildly successful, it's not because they're chasing success. It's because they have this desire to see this idea come to fruition. They don't care about what comes with it. They don't care about the money. They're not like, if you go into an idea thinking this is going to make me a lot of money, your idea is more than likely going to fail. Like, and they talk about like
that.
Actually,
here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in differently, in thinking. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right?
All right, go ahead and pause it.
All I did was reverse.
But yeah, that right there is pretty much like, I don't know what your takeaway from that is, but like as soon as I heard that for the first time, I was like, wow, I never actually thought about the business structure or the layout of it like that before. I never thought about like the way he explains it. It's like, it's not about the product. It's never about the product.
It's thinking the opposite.
Yeah, exactly. You start with the foundation idea of why you want to do this. Like, why do we want to do this podcast? At least my interpretation of why I will do this is because, and also like when you mentioned it and you brought this up, I will always 100% give you the idea for this if it ever gets big, never forget that. But like my understanding of it was this, is like, as soon as you mentioned that, I was like, yes, I would love to just bring our ideas, our comedic moments, our input out to other people to share with them. It's fun to be able to communicate with you. You're one of my closest friends, always will be. And it's always great to be able to talk with you. And it's in a different light too. It's in a different aspect because we get to talk about so many different like things that are going on in life right now. And obviously our main focus is video games because you know what? We're nerds and I love it.
Yeah.
getting down to the core of everything, it's awesome because it's like, why do we want to do this? It's never about like, oh yeah, I want to make a podcast because, oh, Joe Rogan has one and these people have one and so and so and so, and they're making money off it. No, it's not about that. It's
all those people are successful without a podcast. They don't need to do a podcast.
Yeah, and think about that. Why do they do a podcast? Why do any of these people do a podcast if they were already succeeding in life? Why do they do a podcast? Why would they want to do that?
Exactly.
Yeah, and I don't believe it has anything to do with the revenue. It has nothing to do with the money.
No. Well, it kind of goes back to that video we just watched. It's all about what is your why. Everybody's why is different.
Exactly, and I'm curious. What is your why, Collin? I would love to hear your why.
I mean, literally, you just kind of hit it spot on, to be honest. Just with how, I don't know, listening to like you and I talk, or even just our friend group, and like the conversations we have, and the camaraderie and the ideas we share, and to just realize, hey, there's people out there who maybe need a little laugh, need some comic relief, maybe. I mean, with how corrupt and how sideways things are in like the news industry, maybe this becomes a form of news to people, where instead of looking at CNN or Fox News, we bring their current events to them from our perspective. And guess what? They may not agree with it. They might 100% agree with it. But guess what? You watch the news, it's the same thing. It's all about how you It's all about what source you want to get your information from. And we might be that source for people that they need.
Exactly. And another way I like to think about it, in the simplest terms, I would love to be a friend for people who need one. I would love to be a voice when someone needs to hear someone's. I would love to be that person for them. I would love to be able to communicate and convey things that they may share or they may not. And obviously we'll be open to communication once we establish a fan base. We'll be open to that. We'll allow people to come in and communicate and talk with us and share their inputs, because I'm always welcoming the idea of hearing everyone. Everyone has a voice, and that's the biggest thing in society right now. I think I kind of scraped aside that, like, yes, we see groups. We see groups getting fought for, but we don't see the individual. And obviously, yes, the world is massive. It's hard to hear the individual's voice. But if we can do that for at least a few, if we can bring the people's voice out, because I don't know about you, but talking with people, and I know we're more of a gaming focused podcast, but not to get too political, but like a lot of people actually sit very similarly in the same position politically. It's either like the way I look at the political spectrum or the social spectrum or anything that's going on in the world right now. We know what's going on. You know, everything seems like it's burning. It's not too bad, but it's burning. But so you got a spectrum. Like you got like say CNN, you got Fox, you got hyper Christian, like crazy cults, you got super atheists, you know, whatever. And then, oh, welcome, please start here. Oh, I just had something pop up. But ultimately, I've noticed this one go away. All right, there it goes. All right, so as I get to know people more personally, these lines, we're never out that far for the most part. Yes, there are those few exceptions, but most people sit right here. We are right there. There's that thin a space between us being able to effectively communicate with each other. And so I would love to be able to bring this to this. I want to unite people. If it's even through making someone laugh, if it's conveying something that someone shares the sentiment about. If I can bring at least one person to this point, then I can feel satisfied. I can feel like I accomplished something. And that's ultimately like why, as soon as you mentioned this, I was like, I 100% don't care how hard we have to try, if we have to scrape, if we have to crawl, if we have to fight to the top, to even be heard by one person, I will do that with you. Because I've spent many times, like, dude, even when we were kids, nighttime talks, night conversations. We have had very insightful conversations. We have learned a lot about each other. Even with the years separated, I never felt that connection, like, drift. I never felt it fall apart. Yes, there's parts of your life I still don't know. And guess what? That makes this interesting for us, because there's parts of my life you don't know. And we get to share stories that you don't know about me. And there's stories about you I don't know about you. And we get to come together and share that with the world. So that's kind of like where I'm at right now with all this. And I think I think it's just an awesome thing for a lot of people to think about. Just think about, hey, that person you think about talking to, just go do it. Just communicate. I feel like communication is a major failing issue in society right now. And like, yeah, there's people who can comment. There's people who can text. But when's the last time a lot of people have a very good conversation with the common man? You know, like we all sit here and we watch all these conversations, these deep intellectual conversations. But when is it ever like just us? When is it the people that don't feel like they have a voice? When is it the people, not saying we don't have a voice, and we won't get into anything too political or social or economical, because obviously I'd rather talk about, I don't know, getting my head crushed in by a super mutant and fall out over, you know, taxes. But
Tax evasion.
Yeah, tax evasion. Right? We don't talk about this, Collin. You're going to get me in trouble. If the government's listening, I only did it.
You know what I just realized? Like a name for this podcast that like completely went over both of our heads.
What's that?
The Adventures of Titty Man and the Anal Avenger.
Oh no, I thought about it right away, because I was like, man, we'd get too popular too fast, and we'd just simmer out if we had that title.
Yeah,
honestly.
especially because we have to explain to people what our superpowers are, and
exactly, and oh gosh, filing taxes, and then what was it? Shooting mustard and ketchup out of orifices.
condiments. Yeah,
Condiments.
Any condiment out of any hole you could think of.
Could you imagine, though, you're just sitting there, you're at McDonald's, right? Like, you're just sitting, obviously, that's not happening too much right now, you know, Corona. But say it's pre-Corona, the world's happy again, everything's ecstatic. You're just sitting there, you're about to bite into a McDouble, and you're like, lift up the bun, you're like, oh no, there's no ketchup on this. And all of a sudden, some dude just walks up and just goes, and there's a stream of ketchup. And he just looks at you, serious as can be, to the superhero costume, he's like, you don't have to thank me. That's what I do. And just walks away.
And then they're like, "Oh, there's not mustard on it either." And that's the other nostril.
He's like, you know, he just sighs. You see him undo his pants. Like, it's a hard job, but damn it, I go home a happy man. Oh man, no. Honestly, you know, I really want to get into another RPG game, like we were, like, cause like there's a lot of flack about Fallout 76.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, the best thing about it was the worst thing about it. Being able to bring everybody together in one lobby together and be able to play with each other. But at the same time, the Fallout that everybody knew, that didn't exist. That was like the best part about the game, was being able to write your own story without worrying about other people like coming in, destroying your house for no reason, or dropping a nuke on you because you accidentally broke into their house.
Okay, first off, accidentally. Secondly, well, we know what we're trying to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, we couldn't find like their vendors or something, so we're like, oh, let's just break into their house to find them.
Well, then, you know they intentionally do that too, just because they want to kill people. You know, they did that.
Yeah, but the fact that they went out of the way to drop a nuke on us. Like, that's not a short process. That's like a 45-minute to an hour process to go do that to somebody.
But to think about that, like, you almost gotta respect it, you know? That the level of petty they are, the level of like upset. Could you imagine you're just chilling, you know, you're just punching a ghoul in the face in your beautiful power armor, and all of a sudden you like find out there's someone broke into your house, and you're like, you know what? I could handle this, like, you know, a respectful gentleman, go join their party chat, be like, dude, why did you break into my house? No, I'm going to go nuke them. I'm going to go drop a nuke on all of their houses. That was a good time, though. Like, and I just want another game like that. Because I feel like that's where, like you said, it excelled and failed. And it was up to the community to make it excel.
So I'm just like, oh, it's just one of those games that, like, no, like, didn't have to think about pre-ordering it. But then it got to that point where, like, I was only playing with, like, maybe Lake. I don't think anybody else had it, really.
Well, yeah.
And that's where the game failed for me was, oh, this game is you can finally play with all your buddies. Well, guess what? I was playing by myself most of the time.
Oh, which brings me to, you should download Secret Neighbor. It's, you know, Hello Neighbor. It's the multiplayer version of it. I've been trying to find more multiplayer games for all of us to come together and play. And it seems interesting. It seems fun. It's kind of like, more of a child version of Dead by Daylight. And,
Yeah. Well, I played Hello Neighbor. That was another. I actually pre-ordered that too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I only had it for like 2 weeks. I played it like every day for like 2 weeks, and I couldn't get past like the first part. I kept dying, so I'm like, "Fuck this game." So I took it to GameStop, and they gave me 42 cents for it, and I went on with my day.
I would love to get you into Dark Souls just to see how you react to it. Just because, like, you talk about, like, oh my goodness, that is one of the funnest games I've played, but also one of the most stress-inducing games for me personally.
Is that like a horror game?
No, Dark Souls is known for its difficulty. Like, survivability in those games is very low, especially because, like, it takes like 2 hits to die. And the first boss, so the one I started on was Dark Souls 3. I'm sure once we get a fan base and there's Dark Souls fans, they're going to probably crap on me for that, whatever. I was too scared to play it. I'll be honest, I was scared. I didn't want to die that much, and I didn't want to break my TV. So, but I actually got into it. My buddy introduced me to it, and it's really fun. It's, once you get past a certain, like, it's a learning curve. Once you get past that learning curve, it just becomes like every other RPG. Once you get past that learning curve, it just takes a bit. I am curious, have you heard anything about this new space game that Bethesda's releasing? I think it's called, like, Stargate.
I haven't.
It's supposed to be their next title release, I'm pretty sure. Like I said, don't check me on that. If you want to, go right ahead, actually, because I would love to know if I'm right or wrong. Because
like, it's like an RPG, or like what's the premise?
Yeah, I guess you could, like, kind of just call it, like, oh, it's their new original title, because they haven't done original title in a while. It's been Fallout and Elder Scrolls. It's supposed to be space-based. I'm assuming you can expect a lot of the same mechanics you've seen in Fallout and Skyrim and
Starfield. Is that the name of it?
Is it Starfield? Oh, okay. I thought it was Stargate, but it could be Starfield. Yeah, just look it up, and I'm sure you're looking at it right now, actually.
Yeah.
But
well, it's saying a 2022-2023 release. So I don't know if this is the same game that you're talking about.
It might be. Well, I'm saying that's their next original title that's coming out. They might come out with another Elder Scrolls or another Fallout game in that window, but that's supposed to be their next original title that's supposed to come out. And I'm excited because when's the last time we've seen Bethesda with an original title? And they've just been kind of like, don't get me wrong, I don't want them to stop Fallout. I would love to see them get back to the roots of Fallout. Not saying I hated Fallout 76. If they want to keep doing that as a separate entity, go right ahead. I would love to see that too, because that's a great community-based game. If you can refine some of the little tweaks here and there, and they were becoming more responsive to the community towards the end there, like with Wastelanders and stuff, like they started listening to the fan base. Yeah, and it's like, that's cool. And I think they're actually bringing in the Brotherhood of Steel into Fallout 76. I said we both haven't been playing it, but
I almost wish that they could find a way to combine the two, where you can do like a multiplayer mode, or you can do like a single player mode. Which, I mean, technically you can go into a world by yourself, but the game, it's almost not as fun because you chose that option. I wish that they should almost have a separate storyline with different consequences and different characters and a whole different outcome. Of course, that would take a lot more energy from them, but at the same time, kind of going back to this whole Microsoft buying them out, they have that extra money, resources, all that extra mind power that they could probably crank out these RPG games that usually takes Bethesda 5+ years to make and release one every other year if they really wanted to.
Exactly. And I'm so excited to see what comes of this. I hope Microsoft is just like, hey, here's your funding, have at it. Just let them. And even if there's even like, I don't know too much about the creative development teams that work under Microsoft. Like, I barely know much about Microsoft. I just know they're obviously a massive company that pretty much owns everything that's not owned by the other massive companies that own the other half of the world.
Yeah.
It keeps shaking like a rocking. But yeah, so I would love to. I can't wait to see where they go. Or no. I'm trying to think, what is the next big title that I'm the most excited for? What about you? I don't want to get into it about Cold War because it's not really something new or unique. It's just
another Call of Duty. Yeah.
Yeah,
And there could be some people who get upset about hearing that, but let's be realistic. We don't buy Call of Duty for originality. We don't. There's not really too much originality.
You buy it because you know what you're going to get out of it every year.
Exactly. We don't, and that's why the whole space future like Call of Duty's kind of failed for the most part. Like,
oh yeah, I hated like Infinite Warfare and Advanced Warfare. Those are probably my two least favorite ones. And,
yeah,
and that's the thing is, they tried to change it. They tried to change up their premise. They tried to get off the boots on the ground and like realism to the game. They're like, oh, let's give them something different. And they took so much flack for it because guess what? Why? Like look at Fortnite for instance. They changed that game so much. I don't know what the numbers are for that game, but they lost me. I probably stopped playing that game a year ago just because of what it changed into.
I'm actually going to pull up and that actually gets right into the what I was going to actually bring up too. Sometimes listening to your fan base is a bad thing. You shouldn't always cater to the fans. You should cater to a degree. Now, if you have a lot of bugs, like this is a thing that's going on with Call of Duty right now. There are a lot of bugs in Warzone and their multiplayer, and the fan base has every right to be upset about that. And yet, all they're doing is releasing new, slight content, like slightly different content, new packages, stuff like that. And yet, it's super buggy still. Like, I don't get me wrong, I love what they did with Stadium. I think Stadium is a cool concept. I rarely ever go there because everyone goes there. I like the train. The train is fun. But I didn't expect that train to bring a cargo load of bugs with it. You know, like, I was running into the game with no... Yeah, that's one thing. I don't know much about video game design, so I will not insult the creators of this game. It's amazing what they've done. I will only compliment them for the things they have accomplished that I couldn't even dare do. But I won't say I can't do. I will say that that's not my chosen desire in the world. But I respect everything they do. But I will say this: the fan base is upset. I've seen it. I've seen it all over different platforms, social media platforms. They are upset about the bugs. And that is one of those few times I think you should cater to the audience. Be like, all right, we're going to take a step back. I'm sure if they explain to the audience, they're like, look, you're not going to see any major updates for a while. You're not going to see anything change, nothing crazy cool. But we're going to make sure this game runs beautifully. No more bugs. We're going to fix this. We'll again, have no more bugs. That's almost impossible. There's always going to be something. But
yeah, some guy's going to accidentally walk into a wall that's going to cause the game to crash. And
that was a funny one though, that you could literally win the game by causing everyone
literally by driving a vehicle to a certain spot in the map, it would cause the game to crash and kick everybody out of it.
It's done.
Okay.
We'll come up with some 2 unique original characters, and till then, signing off. Taco Tuesday, here I come.
Taco Tuesday. See ya.